Yo guys, I've got a spark which I'm going to use to ignite the fire for a very special video here in the channel. We just hit 3,000 subscribers, which means it's time to talk about even more of my many life passions. After all, the last time I did such a thing was when I hit 1.5 thousand subscribers for the very first time. Naturally, that means I can't really think of anything better to do for double that milestone, especially since there is a lot of things I missed for first time around. Obviously, I should start with Skylanders, as that's the foundation my entire channel is built upon. But why do I love this franchise so much? Well, I've always had a knack for collecting things, whether that's trading cards or stickers. Skylanders takes collecting to the next level. Plus, it helped that when Spyro's Adventure was first coming out, I was really starting to get into video games for the first time, and this was a world where I could combine both these passions, the passions of collecting with the passions of video games, and I could use my own imagination when using Skylanders as toys to craft my own story. Then using those same toys, I could explore the imagination of someone else, for true coming together of worlds, if you please. Toys for Bob had something special with Spyro's Adventure, and they knew it. Every aspect of the game is crafted with such passion. The music fits into the world, the level design is fantastic, taking advantage of the variety of gameplay mechanics from combat to platforming. The game appeals to me so much that when creating my Christmas list in 2011, I took the Skylanders Spyro's Adventure starter pack and circled it, put exclamation marks and arrows towards it. I wanted to make it abundantly clear that above all else, I wanted Skylanders that year for Christmas. At first I didn't get the game, but my grandparents showed up a couple of hours later with a present of a very specific shape and weight. I ravaged the packaging to reveal the Spyro's Adventure starter pack for the Nintendo Wii, and suddenly I was overwhelmed with excitement. I played through the first 4 levels that day and instantly fell in love with the game and its even more impressive concept. It did something never before seen by combining the physical and digital worlds together, as you could bring your toys to life. 3 years later, they switched up that simple concept. Now, rather than bringing toys to life, we're bringing life to toys. In the previous video, I talked a lot about Trap Team, as this is my favourite game of all time, let alone my favourite Skylanders game. What was so cool is that you could take a lifeless toy trap, place it into the portal after a villain has been defeated, and that villain's life essence is placed into the trap, therefore bringing life to the toy. To add to this illusion, the Traptanium portal had an embedded speaker, so the villain trapped inside could speak to you. It's all very clever. There was even a certain Skylander and Trap Team which links back to the next game series I wish to talk to you about. Chopper is a Tyrannosaurus Rex, decked out in helicopter blades and gadgets. It's futuristic and incredibly cool, as well as something which fits right alongside my Tremortusk statue. A statue which I got with the exclusive Horizon Forbidden West Collector's Edition. What was legendary about this was that I had to travel in the midst of a huge storm in the UK on the release date of this game just to gather myself this here Collector's Edition. And you know what? It was totally worth it, both for the game as well as the story. Now let me give you this pitch. You get to fight massive robotic creatures with a bow and arrow of all things. If that doesn't sell you on for Horizon games, I don't know what will. These two games are really close to my heart. I love them both, with the first one having a slightly stronger story, but the second improving upon literally everything else. This is a post-apocalyptic world where a pharaoh plague has wiped out humanity. These were a series of robots that could override technology, multiplicate, and they consumed biomass just to make things even worse. This resulted in them constantly building more machines than we could kill, and we couldn't fight back with technology of our own because they would simply override it and use our own technology against us. The only way to shut down this fairy plague was with command codes, which would take longer to decode than it would for the fairy plague to wipe out all of humanity. Basically meaning that this was Doomsday, and the person who created the robots in the first place, well, he created them out of pure greed, as everyone scrambled to provide the world governments with solutions to their climate problems, brought about by years of climate change and just general abuse of our planet. Now there is only one hope. known as Zero Dawn. This project meant building a seed called Gaia. She would have components to decode for command codes, shut down for Pharaoh Plague, and then she would proceed to build machines of her own to correct the conditions of a planet so life could grow once more, and eventually animals and humans would be reintroduced, all of this taking place over thousands and thousands of years. And all of that was just a simple, bare-bones, general introduction to the background and the lore of this world. You can already see how far this expands and just how damn good the background lore of this series is. It really immerses you into this world and gives pretty much a reason for every nook and cranny. The detail is immense and I love it. I mean, obviously I do, it wouldn't be on this video otherwise. Now that we've got the general gist of it, and the explanation also explains why this post-apocalyptic world is lush with plants that overrun everything else rather than bleak, colourless and destroyed, so that aesthetic alone makes these games stand out and it adds to the beauty found in their environments. Now the games really do look incredible, and no amount of gameplay showcases will do for visuals justice. The games don't only have phenomenal background lore and stunning visuals, the gameplay is also incredibly fluid on top of that and really does encourage you to explore these worlds in the first place. It makes hunting machines an absolute joy, some fights of which get so intense with the music in the background playing, plus the adaptive triggers of a PlayStation 5 controller. Your immersion is unparalleled and it's a marathon to beat some of these behemoths. The loot is almost always worth it to motivate you to hunt these machines in the first place, but it's that chaos in the moment and the overwhelming feeling during the fight which makes these 10-15 minute battles feel like an absolute odyssey. These aren't games you play, these are games you experience, and that's just scratching the surface. Speaking of scratches, in traditional zombie stories, a scratch would cause an infection, turning you into one of the brain-eating monstrosities. The World of The Walking Dead works a little differently though, and that is our next topic. The Walking Dead is a series I got invested into through the TV show. The 7th season had just wrapped up and my parents decided it was finally time we could all sit down and watch the show together. So we binged through those first 7 seasons, and very quickly The Walking Dead became synonymous with family time, as we loved the show, and more importantly yet, we all loved watching it together. This is a zombie-ridden world, but they infect you through bites and bites alone, and that's pretty lucky because getting scratched from walkers would be pretty easy, I'd imagine. Anyways, as of recording this video, we're waiting on the final 8 episodes of the 11th season. To tie me over until those arrive, I ordered Telltale's The Walking Dead. I love the show, but recent seasons have been a bit slow, and they made so many backward character decisions. It's now more of a poorly written drama than a zombie survival horror. That's one thing Telltale didn't forget when making their Walking Dead series. The definitive edition was available on Amazon for £16, so I nabbed it thinking it couldn't do any harm to try them out. Little did I know that there was actually a lot of harm to be made in trying them out. Emotionally, that is, because these games are heart-wrenching. They do not pull their punches. These games really make you suffer alongside the characters, feel their pain, and that's part of what immerses you. These are some of the emotionally impacting games I've ever played. I can't even think about them without instantly tearing up. I love the show, but the characters here are far much more compelling since you're given time to truly get to know them, especially in the first season. Plus you get to make choices as you play through the game which impact the larger overall narrative later down the road. Seeing how your choices craft a story unique to you makes replaying the games all the more interesting. In fact, it's downright encouraged because this way you get to experience parts of the games that you never did before. Season 1 and Season 4 have to be my favourites amongst all of the seasons in the definitive series, as these are the seasons which gave us the best characters and the best relationships between those characters. In fact, it's mostly your choices that impact not only these characters but how they perceive of one another and how their behaviour is toward one another. So you really do want to make the right choices, but in the heat of the moment you press something which really comes back to bite you in the ass later. You can't even think things over as you're given a timer to pressure you into making quick, on-the-spot decisions, and it reflects real life much better as you don't get all the time in the world to think things over. Plus, seeing Clementine grow from a young 8-year-old in need of protection to a hardened survivor capable of saving an entire community is a seriously compelling character arc. You look at this box art and feel an immediate sense of pride as Clementine has grown, and she's a character you'd be hard-pressed to find anyone who dislikes. She's incredibly compelling, and that's putting it mildly. That's enough depth from The Walking Dead though. I have an entire full series retrospective coming up for this game series, as I got so heavily invested into these games that the events within them, they hit me like an absolute sledgehammer, and now the memories of what happens in these games linger in the back of my mind. These games are just that good, and they're notoriously emotional with good reason. Okay, so we've talked about TV and video games. Pretty much the only medium left at this point is film, and you can't talk about films in 2022 without mentioning the box office juggernaut known as Gun Maverick. This film stuck around throughout the whole summer. You could always find showtimes for this film at local theatres. Even when the film was several months old, the audience and critical response to this movie is massive. People are returning to see the film multiple times, as it's a film which not only captures the 80s nostalgia of the original, but expands upon its characters in an incredibly entertaining fashion, which feels real, as the movie is largely visual effects and actual flying rather than a CG mess. This film will be remembered for its box office dominance, but I also wonder what people will think of it 20 years down the line after its theatrical run. After all, box office isn't everything. There are many box office bombs that turn into cult classics years after their release. Iron Giant is one that comes to mind for me, an animated film from 1999 which may have lost money at the box office, but the themes and messages of this film resonate with modern day viewers. This film acknowledges death and sacrifice to hit high emotional beats with an Iron Giant character we are invested by and grow to love, and now the Iron Giant can be found in multiverses, which is just plain and simple fun. Point is, I not only love movies, but I love analysing the numbers behind the movies. I'm a bit of a maths whiz, and could you blame me? Math is everywhere. It's found in programming, so games couldn't even be made without math. It's also a universal language. No matter where you're from, math connects us, and it remains the same. It's a very intricate topic, as everything in math interconnects. Certain rules can't be followed without fundamentals from some other type of math, and that just fascinates me. Numbers are freaking awesome, and it's why Sudoku is such a blast. It's one of my all-time favourite games to just play, really. I would say turn my brain off and play, but it wouldn't be much of a puzzle if you turn your brain off now, would it?
It takes a little something called math, fuzzface!
Yeah, that's right. I just use math to transition into yet another TV show. No big deal. Just shrub that off right now. This one is animated and not nearly as dark as The Walking Dead, however. Battle Force 5 is a show which captured my imagination growing up. I would take my Hot Wheels and create my very own episodes for the show. The concept was simple. A team of racers would take their battle vehicles into battle zones, fight killer robots or savage animals over a battle key, then take that key home to prevent those invaders from attacking Earth. Season 2 really picks up with the story though, where we start to get multi-episodal arcs where the events of one episode will affect the next. Now Red Sentients are thrown into the mix, and they have sworn revenge against Sage as she throws their entire species to save her own people. The show does have its classic 2000s cheese, but the animation is actually stunning. The characters all have their unique charm and quirks as well as chemistry amongst themselves to create for an entertaining setup. I have so much fun rewatching this show, and it always manages to put a nostalgic smile on my face seeing the iconic intro. Battle Force 5 is also clearly linked to the final things I have to talk about. Skylanders and Nintendo, of course. You see, Battle Force 5 has battle vehicles in it, as does Skylanders Superchargers. Battle Force 5 has a game for Nintendo systems, so does Skylanders. And in fact, Skylanders was originally planned to be Nintendo exclusive, but when Nintendo didn't want the exclusivity rights, they wound up porting Spyro's Adventure to the Xbox 360, PS3 and PC. It's a good thing too, because Skylanders never relied on unit sales, but instead on the sales of the toys and the merchandise, and if consumers didn't have a Nintendo system, they therefore wouldn't buy any of the toys, as they wouldn't be able to use them in the game if all they had was an Xbox 360 or a PS3. Even saying the words PS3 links back to the previous video where I talked about The Last of Us, a PlayStation 3 exclusive which launched towards the end of the console's life cycle, but it was a game which released to so much critical success that it gave the PS3 sales enough of a final boost to barely surpass the Xbox 360 unit sales by a couple of million at the very last minute. The game literally helped the PS3 beat the Xbox 360 in the final sprint. But getting back to Skylanders and their connection to Nintendo even gave Skylanders permission to use Bowser and Donkey Kong, which doubled as both Skylander figures as well as amiibo. Obviously, these Skylanders were only playable in Superchargers onwards and only playable on Nintendo systems, but they made getting the Wii U version worth it, as these characters were so much fun and played so unique. Superchargers in general is a fantastic game, with immersive graphics, incredible music, and fast-paced, varied gameplay which hooks you and motivates you to continue playing. The story is also more intricate and thought out than other Skylanders games, with NPCs like Chaos even having a character arc to call their own, as Chaos learns to set aside the manipulation of the darkness as he chooses to save Skylands, since he'd rather rule over it than destroy it. The vehicle sections can be tedious and tough to control, but there is no denying that they splice up the variety found in the gameplay. They even give you the opportunity to race along the back of a dragon, and y'all know how much I love dragons. Dragons themselves might as well be called one of my life passions. But anyways, let's continue to talk about Nintendo some more. The Nintendo Switch takes convenience to the next level. If I'm playing on my TV but need to go out for whatever reason, I can just grab the tablet and continue playing my game as though nothing changed. The OLED system even has a more impressive visual and sound quality to make the portable side of the Switch all the more immersive. I love the aesthetics of this console, but more importantly yet, I love the games. Super Smash Bros. Ultimate is a game where I have countless memories goofing off with friends. We could end up laughing till our sides split open, or play super seriously. Either way, the times I play Super Smash Bros. With friends is often the times that wind up becoming some of my most memorable experiences ever. And Mario Kart 8 Deluxe is also a blast with its fast-paced 200cc mode, and it's bringing nostalgia to a whole new level with the new retro tracks they keep introducing with the booster pass. Sure, playing this game online can be seriously frustrating when I start to suffer poor luck, but it's also so satisfying to win with either good luck or pure skill as I race to the finish with the greatest racing lines the world has ever seen. Plus, bomb snipes are also incredibly satisfactory, you can't go much wrong with them. And there are some obvious must-play experiences for the Switch as well, like Super Mario Odyssey and Breath of the Wild, but Splatoon 3 just released, and that's a game I will be frequently revisiting. The story mode is addictive, with short and sweet levels that are creative and distinctive, showcasing top-notch level design. Between levels, you find hidden secrets by consuming fuzzy objects with a certain number of power eggs. It's an intricate and well-designed hub world, which really rewards your exploration. And what can I say about the online battles that haven't been said already? They're fast-paced and addictive, the bombardment of colour is really visually pleasing, and intense matches really reward your concentration and skill. It's a game which never gets tiring, as each battle is unique, and getting to experience what the different weapons thus far feel like has been an absolute blast as well. Splatoon 3 is the ultimate Splatoon package, which I'm really pleased with. Can't wait to build up over 700 hours in this game. But that'll do it. I think I've rambled on for long enough about even more of my many life passions. A massive thank you for 3,000 subscribers. This channel is pretty much a passion project. I make these videos because they're fun and I always have something to talk about. But being able to connect with all of you through it and read your incredible comments, the positivity and attitude you all have truly inspires me to do better, and I couldn't ask for a greater 3,000 subscribers. You're all legendary, and I say that without a hint of sarcasm, nor shadow of doubt. But now, it's time for that outro, without further ado. With that being said and done, this video is coming to an end, and I want to thank you all so much for watching. By merely clicking on this video, you've shown support and helped it garner recognition so it can reach many of the viewers here on YouTube. I'd love to see you take the extra step and leave a like on the video if you enjoyed. Also be sure to comment below and push that subscribe button whilst you're down there. By clicking elsewhere on screen, you can either check out a video that's specifically picked out for you, or you can check out the rest of the playlist for a series you just watched. Before ending off, I'd like to thank all of my Blazing Knights and Scorching Dragons whose support help make these videos possible. I'll be seeing you in the next video, and until the moment arises, peace!